Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're looking at a story that could literally shake the foundations of corporate cybersecurity. We are diving into some newly unsealed court documents, and they accuse a massive tech giant, one that governments and huge enterprises trust implicitly, of hiding what might just be one of the largest corporate hacks in history. So let's jump right in and unpack exactly what these explosive documents are claiming. To wrap our heads around the sheer scale of this right out of the gate, we have to start with this number, 56,000. According to an internal investigation cited in the lawsuit, that is the number of potential intrusions into IBM's network over a multi-year period. Think about that. 56,000 breaches that the company allegedly kept completely secret from the public and, honestly, more importantly, from the authorities. In the cybersecurity world, a single intrusion can be devastating. 56,000? That's almost impossible to comprehend. And the group behind this wasn't just some random assortment of amateur hackers in a basement. As then FBI Director Christopher Wray noted when describing this specific hacking group, they went after a literal who's who of the global economy. Their targets represent the absolute pinnacle of global business. So the stakes here, they literally couldn't be higher. Section 1. The whistleblower's explosive claim. These allegations, they come directly from a guy named William Barlow, and he wasn't just some low-level employee. He was IBM's former vice president of threat intelligence, serving in that supercritical role all the way until August 2019. Now, Barlow originally filed a whistleblower lawsuit under seal back in 2020. Well, that lawsuit was just unsealed by a federal judge in New York this week, and in it, he accuses his former employer of a massive, deliberate cover-up. At the heart of Barlow's complaints is this staggering contrast. On one hand, you've got IBM's prestigious public reputation, right? They're a top-tier cybersecurity vendor, selling extensively to the U.S. government and federal agencies. But on the other hand, you have Barlow's alleged internal reality. His complaint describes IBM's core network infrastructure as completely archaic, claiming that malicious hackers could essentially, quote, roam almost anywhere undetected inside their servers. It's just a wild contrast between public image and alleged private reality. Moving to Section 2. Anatomy of the hack. So, the alleged perpetrators here were a group known as APT-10. If you follow cybersecurity, you definitely know that name. They are a highly sophisticated Chinese government-linked threat group. In fact, their members were actually indicted back in 2018 for global cyber espionage. We are talking about a state-sponsored organization with immense resources and a mandate to infiltrate the most secure networks on the planet. Looking at the timeline, those 56,000 potential intrusions by APT-10 allegedly happened over a massive 3-year window, from 2013 to 2016. Then we hit a critical moment in March 2017 when an intelligence alliance officially warns IBM. Fast forward to 2020, and that's where Barlow files his sealed lawsuit. Just looking at this, the multi-year gaps between the initial hacks, the external warnings, and the eventual legal action are pretty striking. And the footprint of this thing was massive. An internal report cited by the complaint shows we aren't just talking about a single compromised server in a basement somewhere. The attackers accessed nearly 400 compromised accounts and almost 200 systems. It spanned across 18 different countries, touching literally every single IBM business unit. It even got into partner data maintained with AT&T, who, by the way, is also named in the lawsuit. The breadth of access across their global architecture was virtually comprehensive. Section 3. The missing security logs. Remember that 2017 timeline point we just talked about? Well, it wasn't IBM's own internal tripwires that caught the intrusion. It was actually the Five Eyes Intelligence Alliance, the premier global intelligence sharing network made up of Australia, Canada, New Zealand, the UK, and the US. In March 2017, intelligence officials from Five Eyes literally had to tap this massive cybersecurity vendor on the shoulder and warn them that their network was compromised. Let that sink in. So, the really crucial point is what happened next. Following that Five Eyes warning, IBM prompted an internal investigation. But according to the complaint, IBM allegedly couldn't even determine the full extent of the damage. Why? Because they hadn't kept network access logs detailing who entered their systems and when. Now, in the cybersecurity world, keeping access logs is cybersecurity 101. It's a foundational, basic practice. Without them, you're completely blind to where the hackers went. Section 4. IBM's acquisitions under fire. Barlow claims the infection didn't stop there. It actually spilled over into some highly sensitive acquisitions. Take Trusteer, a cybersecurity startup IBM acquired in 2013. Barlow alleges they were breached in 2018. Or Truven, a massive healthcare data company that IBM bought for $2.6 billion back in 2016. According to the lawsuit, Truven was breached multiple times post-acquisition. In both of these high-stakes cases, which involve highly sensitive health and security data, Barlow accuses IBM of failing to properly investigate or disclose the incidents.
Section 5. The legal battle begins.
Now, IBM firmly maintains its innocence here. Spokesperson Mickey Carver pointed out that this complaint was originally filed 6 years ago, and she noted that the U.S. Department of Justice initially declined to intervene. She stated very clearly, quote, "IBM is confident that our actions followed the letter of the law."
But on the flip side, the DOJ's decision not to intervene doesn't just end the case, and Barlow's legal team is definitely pushing forward. His attorney, Jason Brown, highlights the massive alleged conflict of interest at the core of this suit. He says you can't sell cybersecurity to the federal government while allegedly having these security problems within your own company. It's definitely a powerful argument about the expectations we place on government vendors.
Section 6. The Corporate Secrecy Epidemic.
Zooming out for a second, the instinct to hide a hack is practically an epidemic, and IBM is far from the only organization accused of this. Remember Uber? They famously tried to conceal a 2016 breach affecting 57 million users, and they ultimately paid a $148 million fine in 2018 when they finally got caught. Even international bodies like the United Nations were caught hiding a breach of their Geneva and Vienna offices. So this corporate instinct to just sweep massive cybersecurity failures under the rug, it is incredibly pervasive.
To combat this exact epidemic of secrecy, regulatory bodies are finally stepping up. The SEC has instituted new rules requiring public companies to disclose material cybersecurity incidents within just 4 business days. It's a strict mandate, and it's designed specifically to force transparency and prevent the exact kind of multi-year cover-ups alleged in this IBM case. Though, to be fair, experts do note that enforcement of this new 4-day rule is still a bit uneven across the board. Which leaves us with this final, critical question to ponder as we watch the IBM lawsuit unfold in federal court. As state-sponsored hackers like AP10 grow increasingly sophisticated, can strict regulatory rules like the SEC's 4-day mandate truly outpace the deeply ingrained corporate instinct for secrecy and self-preservation? It's a battle that's undoubtedly going to shape the future of our digital privacy. Thanks for joining me on this explainer, and definitely keep your eyes on how this massive case develops.